Hi, how you doing today? I'm so glad to be here with you. I really hope that we can help you with one of what may be the most difficult issues that we deal with in business. And that's, how do I know? How do I really truly know that I know what somebody wants? And I'm going to do a couple of lives on the on my business page, Thriving Bestsellers. I'll even put that link in for you now so that you've got it. That are going to talk about defining your avatar, as well as are going to talk about you know what having a defined avatar will do for you. But I want to talk about all of that in a more generalized term here. So that's what we're going to talk about here for a while is how do you know? Hi, my name is Steve Kidd. I am a third generation minister, an international best-selling author of multiple books. I help people write, publish, and market their books to bestseller. There are literally thousands of people now that have used the system I created, both ones that have worked with me, people that I've taught how to do it that they've worked with, as well as other people that have learned in other ways. Thousands upon thousands of people that have used the system I created to write, publish, and market their books to bestseller. What's cool for me is the ability to be able to help you clearly be able to put your words out into the world. I love what Cheryl Rich said the other day. Thank you, Cheryl. It was so amazing that she really finally knows now what it feels like to know her voice, to see her words in writing. And that's what I can help you do, is really be able to powerfully bring your voice, who you are and what you do in the world, to the world. So how do we know? I mean, how do we not just guess or think or wish, but how do we really truly know what our person, what our avatar, what our client needs? Many people spend their entire life in business and they don't really know. They're kind of guessing. Now, often where we start, almost all of us, is we really start with something that's really just for us. I'll tell you a secret, because I told you I'm a third generation minister. The truth of the matter is most sermons that you've ever heard, they're really just the pastor sharing with you what God took him through that week. And you happen to also reap the rewards of the study that the pastor is doing, or the things that God's trying to teach to him. I mean, they're fallible human beings, and so maybe sometimes we're still struggling with it as well. But that's the truth of the matter is we usually start with an avatar that's me. We know me really well. We know what we needed a week ago, a month ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago. And the product we create really is often to meet a hope, wish, want, or dream of our own. It's kind of where we start, almost always. But from there, then we we branch out, and here's what usually ends up happening to all of us when we branch out. We go from the one to the many. Okay, and there's lots of things about teaching one to the many and all that, and I don't want to get into that today. But we have this product, good, or service that is so massively, powerfully impactful, and so we don't want to eliminate anybody, and it's for everyone, right? I don't know how many times I've been in the conversation and they're like, "Oh no, everybody can use this," and I want you to hear me say clearly that's probably true. However, we can't have a intimate, direct, personal conversation with everybody at the same time. We have intimate, soul to soul, heart to heart kind of conversations. We have those one on one. When we really get to know somebody and they really get to know the heart and soul of us, those happen one on one. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking it's like, well, yeah, but I can't do that like I would in a one on one conversation via something like a book or even a Facebook Live or even a signature talk in a room full of people. Truth of the matter is that's exactly actually how you need to be approaching things, is you need to be able to have that defined well enough. And like you said, over on Thriving Bestsellers. When we're done here, I'm going to talk specifically about how to define that avatar. So I'm not going to get into the mechanics of that. You'll have to go over there to get the mechanics of that. But you need to have that very clearly defined. Once you then know that, once you know who you're talking to, then how do you know? How do you know? Well, you ask. You see, I can come out here and I can do a Facebook Live to you and I can say, how do you do such and such? And because and there are definitely outliers, but because I am speaking specifically to a specific person, they are the majority of my followers. And when I ask that question, I can get a legitimate answer. The same thing would be true, in smaller settings too. Some of you, I love masterminds. They're great. I think we all should be in at least one, if not 20 masterminds. And in your mastermind group, there may be 4, 5, 10 of you in the room, and you can ask one of the people a specific question. What do you need? How does that work for you? What is missing in that for you? The way that we find out the how do we know only is going to come when we ask the person that we want to know it of. The question of what is your need has to be asked to them. We can't just guess. And I'm as guilty as anyone of this. We often do just guess. Because we started with that avatar that was us. Originally, our ideal client was really just me 5 years ago. And so, we know all the answers to those questions because we're just really basically doing out into the world what we've been doing, or maybe even better put, what we need and wish would have been already done for us. And so those are really easy answers. But then when we move from ourselves out into the world, and we want to specify a person outside of ourselves, well, to know positively what they need, we have to ask. We have to spend the time to actually engage that person in a conversation and find out from them, what do you need? What would having this do for you? The only way to really truly know, to be certain, to know that you know that you know, is to ask. Anything else is just a guess. And there are a lot of people out there that have programs that can help you kind of sort of get close to it. But again, it's how do you make a good guess at what your clients need? The only way you're going to know their needs and specifically meet them is, first of all, again, to have defined who it is that you're trying to meet their need, and then ask them, what do you need? What can I do for you that would make your life better? Here's what I do in the world. I help people write, publish, market books to bestseller. What kind of program would help you be able to get that book that's burning inside of you done? Do you, and this is why I have the main product I work with, is because what I know is most of the people that are drawn to me, the big issue they have is time. I've been working on this book and I'm no further along. We stare at a blank piece of paper for hours, days, weeks, months, years, and it doesn't magically get filled up with words. We have a ton of words, but getting them from here down onto paper or typed onto a computer, that's a long distance between the brain to the hands, and it just never quite makes it through. And so what I know from having asked is the ability to be able to get my words out on paper without it, that doesn't take away from my time, because I don't have the time to do it. I need it, I want it, I don't have the time. That's where I come in. That's the problem that they told me they had that I then meet. And there's other things, and so with your own business, it's like, what is the problem? So who is the person? What is their problem? And what is what I do, what I have, my product, good, or service that meets that need? I mean, and it can be as simple as the concept of the shoe. You know, if you're walking around barefoot and you're burning your feet, having something underneath of your feet. I mean, I can tell you in foreign countries, they will take like old pieces of tire and strap a string to it, and they will put that on the bottom of their feet so that they're not walking directly on the hot sand or the hot pavement or whatever they might be walking on. And that's quote unquote shoes, because the problem that they have is the burning of their feet when they're walking. And the solution is, here's a thing to put under it. Now, again, still staying in shoe range, if you're playing basketball, you're going to need something more than an old piece of rubber underneath your feet. I need something that really supports my feet, my ankles, my legs, all of that, and helps me be better at running up and down the court and jumping and shooting and all those kind of things. And then a company like Nike comes in and says, all right, let's do some design testing. Let's really develop a shoe. Let's bring in Michael Jordan and work with him to develop a shoe that helps him be a peak performer in what he's doing. And that's why knowing that person specifically is so important, and then having the conversation with them to find out what their needs are is so important. The only way we're going to know is if we ask. So, like I said, we're going to go over to Thriving Bestsellers right now. I'm going to do 2 videos for you. Number 1, how to define your avatar. How do I finally and forever, well, not forever, but finally at last have a solidly defined avatar? Okay, now I'm going to give you the number 1 first tip on that, and that's that it needs to be extremely specific. Going back to Nike. Nike sets aside a room on their campus when they're bringing out a new product. They define that avatar down to the point where they know them specifically. It is a person. They give them a name and they create a character for that person. And we'll talk about that, designing your avatar over there. And then the second video I'm going to do is, now that we have the avatar, what can you do with that? How powerful is having a well-designed avatar going to be for you? So I would invite you to come over live or on the replay, and come over to Thriving Bestsellers. The link is there. And let's talk about how to define your avatar and what to do with a well-defined avatar. We're going to head over there now. I'll see you in just a minute or two. Thanks.